Hey guys, Lotus Dreams here, coming at you with something different today. As some of you or might not know, we will see. The one of the biggest events of Warhammer is over yet again, the LVO, Las Vegas opening hosted by Frontline Gaming, and they always do that once per year. ITC rules, obviously, the rules that they make themselves. And I wanted to show you some lists because it's really interesting to see these guys play. Obviously, there is plenty of cheese in the list you see there, but don't worry about it because there is interesting stuff there and stuff to learn from them what they use, and they also have some information for myself since I already rate stuff uh, pretty accurately most of the time, but it confirms that when I see what they play. And quite honestly, there was no so real surprise there. A few of the concepts I made were not played, but everything else that was played was something I thought about doing, but very differently approach sometimes, just a tad different sometimes, and sometimes it's just the exact same. All right, so let's start with the top lists, obviously. I haven't seen everything. I watched the entire broadcast, obviously, but I haven't been there myself. So this is a little bit of a showcase what was played and what was popular and so on. So let's start with Brandon Grant. But before I continue, spoilers ahead, so don't watch this in case you want to rewatch the maps. You have the votes, you have the Facebook, YouTube channel, whatever you want to. Go to Frontlight Gaming and watch them. And that's it. So spoiler alert right here. Brandon Grant did get into the final with this list. He lost in the end, but it was really powerful and a really interesting approach. Now, he made use of the one thing that the Space Wolf have to offer, which is a dog star. You can take multiple squads of Fenrisian wolves in a formation and put them into one unit, and that's what he did. He took 40 dogs into one unit, making a nice Death Star base, just like I did with the Flagellants, just that the dogs are a little bit more mobile, but they're still good. They have two attacks base, and they can hurt anything you want. Obviously, you add in a Minotaur Priest because he allows them to reroll their armor saves, wounds, or whatsoever. And you ally in Azrael. That's the only use the Dark Angels have in that matter because he can give them a 4 plus invuln save. So they are a little bit more survivable than usual, and they also pack a punch in close combat. And when they reroll their 4 pluses, they also don't get killed as easily by other mean Death Stars or similar stuff that can hurt them in close combat. In addition to this, we have a champion on a bike, also for good reason, obviously, because he can keep them in line, and also for some hitting power. Also Zealot on them, because sometimes the priest gets sniped. He's not always reliable, so I like that within. And also because, obviously, you have to take a HQ of some sort. That was his HQ choice. He also ran scouts, nothing special here. Some tacticals with Graph in Rhinos and Razorbacks, also nothing special there. But he did run something that I did not expect. He actually uses a Dreadnought, and it's a Dreadnought of the normal kind. Nothing really special with him, but he's basically the surprise for me there. He did not perform super good. I have no idea. I mean, it didn't weigh him down. Obviously, he got second, but it was more there to scare people than to deal real damage, because there's only so much a Dread can do. He was running that one obviously in a drop pod because makes sense, and with a heavy flamer. In addition to that, he has two Sword Marine squads that are just in the flamers, in any of their Razorback or drop pods, nothing special there. Also Lion's Blade detachment in total, and a company master that was just running with the dogs to take some hits, and also with a chain fist to make sure that no knight or whatever was gonna stomp him flat before he can peel off some wounds. Alright, that is his list. Performed really well. Death Star pretty simple. Was surprised that it worked that well because last time I tried it did not work well, but I played obviously against one of my own Death Stars, and those are very, very nasty melee. This list is not so much a aggressive list as the others. You don't try to kill anyone. These guys are just trying to take table control, and these here are blobbing down on the objectives and win their objective game the slow way. So one of the defensive lists. The next one we're going to talk about is Eldar. And there were plenty of Eldar players, of course, but none of them made it very far, except one. And that was actually surprising, because obviously Eldar are very competitive. So let's see what was used in the end. So obviously, as always, you have to get a Wraith Knight of some sorts in the list, and that's what Sean Naden did. He allied Eldar, Tau, and Sisters of Silence. And I know that sounds not good, and it sounds to me as well, but that's how he rolls. He's taking 2 fast seers on jet bikes with singing spears, obviously, and you need those for psychic support, that's all. Then he has Wind Riders on jet bikes, just for objective purposes, obviously, and so on. The Warp Hunter and Night Spinner. So a little bit different there. Night Spinner being very, very good at providing some artillery support, and the Warp Hunter obviously for the big Dakar. I don't have a model here, but it's basically a D-flail on that thing, and it got assassinated almost every time by drop pod marines or something else. It always was first turn dead, basically. The Wraith Knight he had was Ghostglaive Shield Scatter Laser, and also the Warlord, so not bleed too much objectives here. He also ran a bunker, obviously, and in that bunker sitting the 5 Sisters of Silence with Executioner Great Blades. Obviously, I already told you, a great unit, a little bit more versatile than Assassin there, so he allied them in to prevent some of the Psychic Sheaths and to break up Death Stars that try to come too close. Then obviously, as I already told you guys, he was running Tau as an ally. Why that? Because the Riptide formation is just so good. That's the only reason. There's no Microlite support, nothing necessary. Riptides are in themselves really powerful, and the idea was just run the Riptide wing as it is, and you're good to go. So just 3 Riptides added to this for the firepower, and then kiting back with those. Having velocity tracker on one of them to make sure that you get some attack. And the Eldar stuff was simply a cut. There was nothing special going on there. Alright, so that's Sean Naden's Eldar, Tau, and Sisters of Silent list. Very weird sound to that, but I mean it makes sense in the end, I think. Just looks very weird. Performed very well in obviously shooting stuff, not so much in keeping objectives, and has problems against something like the Wolfstar. But I mean that's just how they roll, right? You don't have much options with Eldar anymore. Then we have next thing is Renegades and Demons. So basically a very similar army to what Asamitam plays, in that sense that the main core of the army was almost no demons. He simply was going for the Wyverns, so some Wyvern support here and there, cutting out all of that. He has an Ordnance Tyrant from the Convent of Nurgle in a command squad, then 3 Earthshaker platforms, which is like a Basilisk but stationary, and obviously Forge World Cheese. Who else would make something like that? 2 Wyverns and a single Wyvern, so a bunch of Dakar. Planting those far on the back as he can, and then these with the Earthshakers and the others with some other support. Also 17 Plague Zombies, because it's obviously Chaos-like. Rapier Laser Destroyers, which is basically little less cannon turrets, so to say, and also some quad mortars. So in the end, a gigantic artillery blob in the back, and that one supporting the obvious choice for this kind of thing, demons. Why obvious? Because this is Renegade, so they can ally with demons just fine. And the one thing they can do very well is moving forward with Herds of Tzeentch, which he obviously had. Obviously with my favorite artifact, the Paradox on a disc. Then a Exalted Reward, obviously the book to give them +2 in-1 saves. 7 Screamers to make the classic Screamer star and launch that into whatever is coming close and trying to contest objectives. And then adding to that the utility, which is the mask, obviously, and Fate Weaver. Fate Weaver just in general good, very survivable with stuff around, and the mask helping him out, reducing the ballistic skill or whatever he wants to before the Screamer Stars goes into the fight or before he gets shut down with his stuff. Obviously, this range, the range of this list is massive because these guys here are really, really fast and they can get across the table very quickly, but they don't die since they get 2+ in-1 saves very easily with Cursed Earth active, and then they blob up whatever is left. And in addition to that, he has 2 units of Brimstones because they don't cheap and you can use them just fine, making just a Demon's Cat and a Herald Anarchic because for obvious reasons. I mean, you get additional warp charge. Another Herald can't go wrong with that. There we go. That is the list that won the entire thing. So pretty good one, I'd say. Zombies didn't have much use, they're just there to blob up assault units and basically to not die. That's the only reason why you take them. And staying with the demons, we also have a very similar thing. So we still have Fate Weaver and the Screamer Star here from a Demon's card. We also have the level 3 Paradox thing and an Exalted Reward, but we also have the Locus of Trickery of one of these. So very interesting. Basically allows them to discard one type of to hit. So if you're hitting them in close combat, you might not even hit them on 5s, but on 6s. It's a little bit of a gamble, but apparently it worked out for him. So he took the Locus of Trickery. Maybe I got to try that. But remember, in ITC you don't get 2+ rerolling saves. It's just 2+ rerolling to a 4+ is the best you can do. So the Locus of Trickery actually helps a lot there. Now what's different here? He did not go with the Renegades there. He took the other approach that I already told you guys. You take Magnus and you put him in a Thousand Suns card. Just like that. You take Magnus, you take a Sorcerer level 1 and a bunch of Cultists, makes the entire list. So very simple thing. Magnus is basically your 1 Death Star, then this Death Star, and supported by Fate Weaver, some Brims, and the Cultists just hunker down and sit on objective. They didn't do much to speak of. Very interesting list. Obviously, Magnus is going to be the linchpin here. He came down from flight mode oftentimes and tried to do something there. Casted Psychic Powers. Siphon Soul was... Spell Siphon was activated, as I told you guys. It is a great spell and helps him a lot with casting stuff, while the Herald and so on can basically get their casting for free, since Magnus is a not a good warp charge battery. That's what the formation is good for. Alright, so that is Den Planet Demons, CSM combination. We also had Corsairs and Eldar, but I can't tell you much about that because I didn't see the games. Basically, 2 Scalpel Squadrons with Rex, and in a Venom with Splinter Cannons, and that's it. The rest is Corsairs with a Prince, 2 Barons, 2 Bait Strike Bands, Cloud Dancers, and a Corsair Hornet. So pretty straightforward list, I'd say, but I can't tell much about how it performed in the end. Right. So hopping back here from CSM to Tau. This time a real Tau list, a actual normal Tau list and not allied in Riptide Wing with something else. And it is gonna be Farside Enclaves over here. We got Commander with his drones as usual. In the list we have single crisis suit teams, obviously because of troop choices and so on. And nothing special about them. It's just because he took a cut. Two Tetras, my favorites. Two Sky Rays, a Storm Surge, a Devilfish. Very weird setup because we barely have anything here that does a lot of work, but apparently worked out very well and is an interesting approach since he went with the card. I'm very interested why he did that. Didn't get any information on that, but I mean, I can imagine since getting your stuff without much extras is pretty hard in the Hunter contingent. You can't get Tetras anywhere else because it's a Forge World unit, obviously. Crisis suits with objective secure are awesome. That's why Fireside Enclaves is oftentimes very good. Skyray simply because they provide something against Magnus, for example, when he's flying around and doing his stuff, and to protect the Storm Surge in the end. Skyray is very good against that, and a Devilfish for obvious reasons because he wants to keep some guys alive. Then in the end, the last thing you remember is the Riptide Wing, as always. So triple Riptides, making the big Dakar here next to the Storm Surge. And that finishes off his Farside CAD with Riptides. One Iron Cannon, two Burst Cannons, pretty usual stuff. Not very mobile, of course, because Skyrays not so much. Tetras pretty mobile to catch some stuff. Crisis suits with their deep striking is pretty solid, but not a lot of support here because 2x2 Tetras is not a massive amount of firepower, but it can help the Storm Surge already, I guess. So pretty interesting approach to playing pure Tau and not allied Tau. Then the next one is gonna be Endmech. Endmech were here performing pretty good. Classic War Conclave, playing against orcs, for example, and basically outlasting most of the armies. Thanks to Shroud Song and all that stuff, very nasty list. Very similar to what I usually have when playing Endmech, just because the formation itself is so limiting that you don't have much options. Well, he used a few options, and I absolutely agree with the choices because it's exactly what I do as well. He actually took the time to take in some from the some of the new units and took the engine seers. Engine seers are really nice, obviously, for increasing the amount of units you have for canticles. And he took hammer thrower reactors, also something I already did on this challenge. The Dominos was just simply with his standard stuff. He took servitors with plasma cannons, obviously, because they don't get hot in this formation, so it fixes one of their problems. Few with them with the Dominos, few with them with the engine seer, sometimes nothing. He didn't care about Mindlock too much. And then put them next to the generators in a fashion where they basically camping a little bit behind, like here, creating fire corridors, but still taking creating cover saves from these reactors. Makes these plasma blasts into big blasts instead of small blasts, and that threatens something like the Wolf Star a lot because they can't clump together too much. He also ran 2 units of 3 destroyers as usual, so nothing special there because you have to take them in the Mechanicus, Kulke Mechanicus part. Infiltrators, Rust Stalkers as they come. All Rangers and Vanguards with Plasma Calivers and everything they can take in terms of Haywire, so Arc Molds, Arc Pistols, and whatnot. He also took a bunch of Dragoons, interestingly enough, and a Night Crusader exactly in the formation as I run him as well with Storm Spear, Rapid Fire Battle Cannon, simply because it has the best profile. That's all why it's here. So a very nasty amount of firepower. He played that very well. He was hiding with the Rastalkers and Infiltrators most of the time, trying to make sure that he doesn't get killed. And the Dragoons obviously having great cover saves out in the open thanks to the Shroud Song, and using those to really good effect as well, because it's not usually something you see. Obviously one Dune Crawler with the Icarus array making up for the lack of anti-air on the Knight. So taking not the neutron laser here, but the real deal. And all the units basically come stock other than the Dragoons, because he didn't upgrade them. Now there's still too many points left here, obviously. He also allied in a Laborious Conclave. And why is that? Because I already told you guys, the best demon summoning comes from Astra Militarum and Laborious Conclave. And that's why he brought them in. Might sound a little cheesy, but as a matter of fact, horrors are extremely, extremely powerful objective holders and defenders because of the way they split, and that they can't die as quickly. And Laborious Conclave is really good at summoning those in on a 2+. It's a Primaris, you cannot fail with that, and you don't require too much warp charges. The Librarian Conclave is obviously good at providing some deny dice, since he doesn't have any psychic, anti-psychic like the Sisters of Silence or the Assassin. And that basically is rounding his list out to have some support here with the objective control, and obviously psychic support spells and deny against Magnus, because there was a amount of Magnus flying around the tournament case. He is obviously really powerful. That is the War Convocation Laborious Conclave from Mad Root. Also performed very well until the end, since he made it into top 8 at least. So really, really powerful stuff. Then the next one is less interesting, because I already told you what it is. It's basically Demons and Chaos Space Marines. Heralds, Fate Reavers, Brimstone, Screamer, plus Magnus, plus Cultist, only that he took a Void Shield Generator. So interesting approach, obviously better for the Cultists and so on, and helps them a lot against Alpha Strikes. Very, very similar to what I already showed you, obviously, and as you can see, Demons going strong. Demons got a gigantic buff with the Horrors. They obviously perform really well, and in addition to that, the Brimstone Horrors themselves are really good units as well. So you don't have to do much in terms of summoning there, because these guys are dirt cheap when you take them as Brimstones, and then you can just spam them and put them everywhere and help you out holding the line, putting them in front of Cultists, for example. Then the Cultists have objective secure. You have to get rid of them, otherwise you don't get your point. So you have to kill the Horrors and the Blue Horrors and the Brimstone Horrors until you can kill them. And with Brimstone Horrors, the exact same. You get stuck on them. That's a problem. And obviously the Herald Anarchic providing free warp charges for an already existing concept like this Screamer Star was an obvious idea, since it was nice to have it. I think it was really interesting that the artillery list performed as well, because I expected a lot of assault armies, similar to the Wolf Star. However, you have to remember something. The ATC does change the rules up, and that means invisibility is forcing you to fire ballistic skill 1 instead of snap firing. So artillery can be very, very useful against Death Star like these, because they can fire. Usually they could not. But if you have quad mortars and Earthshaker platforms and all the cheese that Forge World has to offer, then you're dealing very good damage over time, and the demons cannot be whittled down efficiently enough to actually engage the artillery in the back, and also forces you to deploy in reserves. For example, the Wolfstar in the last match did have to deploy at the very end, simply because the Wyvern and all that stuff had too much range. So if the Wyvern is sitting over here, you have a 48-inch bubble until here where you can't deploy. So basically he went second, he stayed in reserve, and then he came on and only deployed over here. Then the Wolfstar got intercepted by the Screamers and the Heralds, and basically got stuck there for most of the game. Horrors in the middle everywhere, and all the rhinos over here with the Marines got simply bombarded by all the artillery from the quad mortars, from the basilisk, earthshaker cannons, obviously massively strong, since they basically can ignore cover, being barrage weapons, and there was not enough cover for anything to actually matter, because in IDC you don't have as much buildings as I usually play. So that was a very interesting approach there. The artillery did win the entire thing, and obviously Forge World artillery is way too cheap in my opinion. The laser rapiers made short work of these rhinos and everything, and they are dirt cheap, the artillery, so they're incredibly hard to kill. Too much range, too much stuff in between. Demons, very, very cheap. You don't have to go much with demons. You can keep them lean and clean, and the most expensive thing that you have is Fate Reaver, which, by the way, is a highlight in itself, because I did not know if Fate Reaver was gonna make or break it, because he appeared in a lot of lists, but in the end it was only Magnus that spammed the board. The other half was basically Fate Reaver, so he's still a very contested unit in himself. Obviously, the reroll being huge in any situation where the point is gonna be decided, and he himself got a bunch of buffs as well, as I already mentioned. So no big surprise there. Yeah, in the end, I really enjoyed watching that stuff. I really dislike the Tau Eldar thing. That's really something I would not like to see getting played against me. In the end, I don't care about it. I would rather play against Riptide against Forge World artillery. But that's just the way it is. And Forge World is allowed, which it makes for great lists as the Tetras and the Skadak Wraith Knight, for example, who was also playing not in that list, but in some others. And obviously these things are massively strong in terms of that. I didn't see any Yivara suits. That was very interesting. So no Tau Forge World cheese in that case. But I enjoyed seeing some Tetras. I always like these things. I believe they're very good, and turns out they are one of the best Markerlite supplies there is, and that's why they got played and not the Pathfinders or anything for that matter that has Markite rolls. Yeah, in the end, very enjoyable, and I hope I could give you guys some ideas or some insight what's hot and what works. And bunch of stuff was very interesting to see. So if you want to check it out, go to their YouTube channel or to their Twitch channel, Frontline Gaming. You will find them rather easily, and if not, on their Facebook. And you can watch these games for yourself. That's a little bit time consuming, but they talk a lot and they have some good sound quality, so you can hear a lot of their sound process and also learn how to play quickly and to agree on stuff before you play it. So in terms of interest, it is really nice to see how you push a game forward sometimes quicker than usual. Right, so that was all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Just wanted to do that to keep you informed, and just in case you didn't even realize it was going on and you're interested, you can check it out. All right, happy wargaming.